You are soft. That is not an insult. It is just a fact. No claws, no venom, no armor, no speed. Your skin tears if you drag it across gravel. Your eyes are nearly useless in the dark. Your nose cannot smell a predator until it is already close. By every physical measure, you are one of the most defenseless large animals that has ever existed. And yet here you are. Your ancestors were not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest. They were small, slow, mostly naked, and surrounded on all sides by things that wanted to eat them. Saber-toothed cats with canine teeth the length of your forearm. Cave hyenas that could crack bone with a single bite. Giant short-faced bears standing nearly 12 feet tall. Crocodiles. Eagles large enough to carry a child. The ancient world was not a wilderness you explored. It was a gauntlet you had to survive every single day. So, how did you make it? How did a hairless, fangless, clawless primate not just survive but eventually dominate every ecosystem on the planet? The answer is not what most people expect. It is not fire. It is not tools. It is not even intelligence. At least not in the way you are thinking. It is something far older, far stranger, and it is still running inside you right now. Go back roughly 2 million years. Your ancestor, Homo erectus, is standing on an open savanna in what will one day be called Africa. The grass is tall, the air is hot, and somewhere in that grass, something is watching. Researchers like Robert Foley at Cambridge have spent decades trying to reconstruct what early human life actually looked like under predation pressure. What they found upends the image of the heroic caveman standing triumphant with a spear. For most of the 2 million years your lineage has existed, your ancestors were not apex predators. They were mesopredators, middle of the food chain. Hunters, yes, but also hunted. The predation pressure on early humans was enormous. Paleoanthropologist Lee Berger and his team found skulls of early hominins with puncture marks that match eagle talons. The eagle that made those marks had a wingspan of over 6 feet. It was hunting your ancestors the way a hawk hunts a mouse. Sit with that for a moment. Something with wings once looked at a creature in your direct lineage and decided it was prey. There is also evidence from the site of Swartkrans in South Africa, where bones of Australopithecus carry the bite marks of leopards. The same bone assemblage, studied by Bob Brain, revealed something important. Your ancestors were not just occasionally killed by predators. They were regularly cached in trees by leopards, the same way leopards store kills today. You were the meat. So what changed? The first answer is one you carry with you everywhere. It is not a tool. It is not a weapon. It is the fact that you are standing here, talking to other people, and that there are people around you right now even if you cannot see them. Group living. This sounds obvious. But it was not just about numbers. It was about the specific kind of group your ancestors formed. Primatologist Robin Dunbar proposed what is now called the social brain hypothesis. He noticed that across primates, the size of the neocortex, the thinking part of the brain, scales almost perfectly with the size of the social group that species typically lives in. Bigger brain, bigger group. And bigger group, for a creature with no natural weapons, means survival. Your ancestors did not just live in groups. They developed the cognitive hardware to track relationships, remember who helped them, anticipate betrayal, and coordinate behavior across large numbers of individuals. The brain that lets you navigate a dinner party, remember who owes you a favor, and feel genuine loyalty to people you have never met in person, is the same brain that kept your ancestors alive on the savannah. Predators rarely attack the center of a group. The risk of injury is too high. Even a lion will circle and wait, looking for the one who strays. Your ancestors learned, not through conscious thought, but through thousands of generations of survival pressure, that staying in the group was not just social comfort, it was the only barrier between them and death. But group living created a problem. More individuals in a group means more competition for food. It means more conflict over mates. It means more noise that attracts predators. Being in a group is safer from predation, but it is also harder to manage. The larger the group, the more complex the social dynamics. the more energy the brain has to spend on politics instead of survival. Your ancestors solved this, at least partially, with something that still feels deeply human. They started talking about each other. Robin Dunbar's research suggests that early language may have evolved not primarily to communicate about food or tools, but to manage social bonds. Grooming, the physical touching that other primates use to maintain alliances, only works one-on-one. It is time-intensive. You cannot groom 5 friends simultaneously, but you can talk to 5 people at once. Language allowed early humans to maintain larger social networks than grooming ever could. It let them gossip, warn, exclude, include, and bind themselves together in ways no other species could match. What killed a saber-toothed cat in the night was not your ancestor's strength. It was the fact that your ancestor had 14 friends who all knew where the cat was. The second answer involves something you have probably already thought of: fire. But not in the way the story is usually told. The common version goes like this. Humans discovered fire, used it to cook food, got bigger brains, and became dominant. And that is broadly true. But what fire did for predator defense is more immediate and more interesting. Fire is the only thing on Earth that every major predator instinctively avoids. Lions avoid it, hyenas avoid it, cave bears avoid it. Even ancient crocodiles are documented to retreat from flame. Fire, for the first time in the history of vertebrate life on this planet, gave your ancestors a defensive barrier that no natural predator had any evolutionary counter to. There was no arms race. There was no adaptation. Fire simply worked. Paleoanthropologist Richard Wrangham, in his book Catching Fire, argues that the control of fire by early Homo was a turning point not just in diet but in safety. A fire-ringed camp at night fundamentally changed the threat landscape. Your ancestors could sleep. Really sleep. Without constant vigilance. Without half the group staying awake to watch. This matters more than it sounds. Sleep is when the brain consolidates memory. When the body heals. When hormones reset. A species that cannot sleep deeply is a species under perpetual physiological stress. Fire gave early humans their nights back. And that, Wrangham argues, may be one of the reasons your brain grew as fast as it did. The third answer is the one that surprises people most, and it is the one most directly visible in your own body. Your ancestors became dangerous by being relentless. You are not built for speed. A cheetah can run at 70 miles per hour. A horse can sustain 40. You top out around 12, on a good day, and cannot hold it for long. In a sprint, almost everything in the ancient world could outrun you. But sprinting is not your game. Your game is something researchers now call persistence hunting. Anthropologist Louis Liebenberg spent decades studying the San people of the Kalahari, who still practice a form of hunting that may be the oldest in the world. They do not hide, they do not ambush, they simply follow an animal, at a jog, under the midday sun, until the animal collapses from heat exhaustion. You are built for this. Your body is a masterpiece of long-distance thermal regulation. You have almost no fur, which is unusual for a large mammal and deeply strange from an evolutionary perspective, unless you understand that your cooling system depends on skin exposed to air. You have more sweat glands per square inch than almost any other animal. You have a foot arch that acts as a spring, storing and returning energy with each stride. You have a nuchal ligament at the back of your skull that keeps your head stable while running, something no great ape has. You were built to run long distances, and you were built to stay cool while doing it. A quadruped, a four-legged animal, breathes in rhythm with its stride. Every gallop forces air in or out. At full sprint, it cannot pant to cool itself. It has to stop. It has to stand still and let its temperature drop. And while it stands still, catching its breath, you are still jogging toward it. This is not theory. This is documented behavior. Liebenberg and colleagues published a study in the Journal of Human Evolution showing hunters successfully running down kudu and gemsbok, animals that would destroy them in any direct confrontation, through sustained pursuit alone. No weapons required, just endurance. Your ancestors did not defeat the ancient world by being stronger than it. They defeated it by never stopping, by cooperating, by talking to each other in the dark, by sleeping safely behind walls of fire, and by slowly, over hundreds of thousands of years, becoming the most dangerous thing in any environment they entered. Here is the part that closes the loop. The traits that saved your ancestors are not museum pieces. They are not fossils. They are still inside you, running in the background, shaping your behavior in ways you never consciously notice. The reason you feel better when you are surrounded by people you trust is not a preference. It is a survival signal, millions of years old, telling you that the group is intact and the predators are far away. The reason you feel anxious alone in the dark is not irrational. It is ancient pattern recognition, still scanning for things that hunted your lineage for 2 million years. The reason you can push through exhaustion and keep moving when everything in you wants to stop is not willpower in the modern motivational sense. It is the body of a persistence hunter, still running, still locked on the target, still refusing to quit even when the prey seems impossibly far ahead. You survived the world's deadliest predators. Not because you were built to fight them, because you were built to outlast everything. And tonight, when you feel that pull to stay close to the people you love, when the dark feels a little too open and a little too quiet, and when some stubborn part of you refuses to give up, no matter how tired you are, that is not weakness dressed up as instinct. That is what winning looks like, over 2 million years.